Hi, I'm Charli XCX and my album is called How I'm Feeling Now.
Love, suicide, you and I drove for miles, knew I'd be here.
The title of the album came about because of the nature of the way in which I made the album, which was very live, I suppose. I made it within 5 weeks during quarantine. And the idea was that I was kind of documenting exactly how I was feeling in the moment and recording that process, and also kind of like releasing the music on top of that, taking into account my fans and audience's kind of feedback and their emotions too. So it sort of became this kind of like live diary of how I was feeling in that moment, hence how I'm feeling now.
Not a ghost here in my head.
This all kind of started and coincided with the beginning of the pandemic, and in particular, the beginning of social distancing and isolating and staying at home. I was in a position where all I really could do and the way I could react best to the situation was to create. And on a selfish level, that was because it kind of was like my own therapy, you know. Obviously, like the world at that point in time, and still now, was so uncertain, and there were so many new things happening and new ways to adapt to, and just so much unknown. And I felt like the best way I could handle that was to kind of throw myself into my work, my music, and really get lost in it. And the other reason I did it like this is because I knew that if I was feeling like this, perhaps, I mean, most definitely, a lot of people in the world were feeling like this. A lot of people were kind of feeling very like stagnant and at a standstill. So I kind of used the whole album and the whole creation process as a way for me and my fans to be creative together during this time.
Gotta give you time to grow.
I decided to document the entire process of making the album on camera. Myself, my boyfriend, and my 2 friends who are also my managers who live with me. We all were kind of shooting, you know, the whole process on camera from like the start till just after we released the album. And this is one of those things that kind of felt like a really good idea at the beginning. And then like when I was like week 4 in, like going absolutely like stir crazy and like crying and, you know, having like a full on like panic attack and feeling very overwhelmed and stressed. At that point I was like, oh, I hate these cameras. But I suppose that's kind of what you want as well. So the documentary, you know, alongside the album was a really cool thing that just felt like, again, another kind of like bonding sort of connection between me and my fans, because we're all kind of living the same story in our different circumstances, but we're all sort of in the same situation at the same time. And it felt like something that, you know, should be documented. With the album being recorded from home, there are a few like tiny little details that I will notice that the listener probably won't. And also it's kind of stupid when I say this out loud, because I feel like a lot of people who make music and are really kind of like producing themselves and are like active behind the computer will probably hear this and be like, what is she talking about? Like, I do this all the time. But, you know, for me, like recording myself is something that I haven't done since I was like 14 or 15. So I was proud of myself to kind of get back behind the computer and be doing stuff. And, you know, I've been lazy for years and really I should be doing this all the time. So, you know, I'm going to try and continue doing that, I think. But there's one song called 7 Years, which was actually one of the first ideas I recorded for this album in my living room. But there's like an end, at the end of the song, there is this kind of vocal chop that's sort of happening throughout the outro of the song, where, you know, basically like bits of vocal from a lot of different takes are all kind of compiled together to make like a new pattern. And that's something that I did myself from home, which is something that producers do literally all the time in seconds. But for me, I was like, I'm comping my vocals to make a cool, interesting new melody. This is a big thing for me. So that was something that I'm proud of. But literally, it's such a minor, minuscule moment on the album that people probably just skim past. And anybody who's actually a producer will be like, yeah, I do that all the time. So what? But for me, I was like, I did a vocal chop. That's a big thing.